In episode 11.1 of Unshuffled, we discuss the self-titled debut album from electronic band LCD Soundsystem. Something different, let's check it out. Welcome, listeners. Welcome to Unshuffled. Great to have you back, or great to have you if it's the first time. I'm your host, Matt, and I'm in a little broom closet in Portugal. And joining me, as he always does, from Japan, Mr. Scotty D. Welcome.
Morning. Welcome, Hazizi. I'm noticing for the first time on our new recording format, we've got our names.
Yeah, Scott Duke.
It said there was a place for me to put a title.
Right, and you put Duke?
I don't know. Seemed like a good title. Seemed modest. Seemed like I didn't go crazy. I didn't go Lord.
Well, normally with our podcast, we do like to get straight into talking about our album. But it's a new band and a completely new genre for us. So I just want to give the listeners a little bit of background about where we're coming from and what experience with this kind of genre we're talking about. So if you didn't listen to our We Choose Our Next Band episode, shame on you. But we've decided to go decidedly non-metal. The band we've chosen is called LCD Soundsystem. Genre is a little bit hard to define, but they're kind of dancey and really different for us in terms of what we've covered before, and very different for me. How different is it for you, Scott? How far out of your comfort zone is this band?
It's it's out there. How would you describe? Like, is it like electronic punk? Is it what is it? Like, there's a definite punk edge
to some songs.
To some songs.
And he was in a punk band.
You did your research.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, he was in a punk band in the 90s, I think, that kind of, went nowhere. But yeah, he's certainly got punk in his veins, punk roots. But yeah, I don't know, genre, let's just call it electronic. But there's such a mix of songs on this, and we'll get into them in a moment. But where are you in the electronic music world? What's your background?
I don't know. I know that. Do you remember? So in like the late 90s, I lived in England for a while, and that was when like Underworld and Ninja Tunes and kind of that whole sound was sort of bubbling up, and I was into that. And I was into that. And actually, I had a friend who was Japanese but living in Cambridge, and he would play, and he and I would get together and jam, and he was super into like Japanese electro music, right? And I would play bass with him, but that was it. It was never anything that I sought out on my own.
Okay, so you never would buy a CD or anything like that?
Well, no, I didn't actually. I mean, LCD Soundsystem's been around since 2005, and I know of them. I mean, I've heard of them, but I never sought them out.
All right, because there was some music, like personally, like we both metal heads and lean heavy, as we say. I kind of like, for me, it was Chemical Brothers, like the big ones, Massive Attack. I always quite liked it, but I don't know. I mean, you English teachers have something you call contextual knowledge, right? Which is which helps you decode and understand a novel. And I don't feel like I'm bringing a whole lot of contextual knowledge to this album. I don't know about you.
I don't think that skill's limited to English teachers. Yes, that's it exactly. I mean, there's a lot of. I'm reminded of a lot. Like there's a band Spoon. I really like this band Spoon. They're not electronic, but there's a lot of things in LCD Soundsystem where I think, oh, that reminds me of Spoon. And so there is like there's a familiarity when I'm listening to it, but no, I'm not super knowledgeable of this genre.
All right, so So, listeners, if you're tuning in to hear two electronic music, aficionados talk you through the finer details and every little subtle reference the lead singer makes lyrically, you're not going to get it here. It's more like two cavemen looking at the sun and going, big fire
Well,
thing.
well, here's an example. All right, so when we've been like listening to a lot of the other bands, and there's cool like pick scratches or just certain things that are done for kind of an aural effect. I feel like sometimes, not all the time, but most of the time, I kind of know what was done. Maybe I know what pedal was used, or I know what effect was done. But here, there's like, the only way I'm going to be able to describe it is the part where it's like bleep bloop bleep bloop. Right? I have no idea. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to describe it. I assume it's a synthesizer, but hell if I know.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm coming.
Yeah, there'll be plenty of bleep and bloop. All right. Well, now that our listeners know that we're coming into this with nothing, hopefully it'll make for an interesting chat. So let's hope so. And you can start, Scotty, by talking us through the details of the album we're looking at today.
Yeah, so this is the first album, LCD Soundsystem, self-titled. It was released on January 24th, 2005. It was produced by the DFA, which I did get a little backstory on this. It used to be called Death from Above, and then for a reason, they changed the name to Death from Abroad, and I don't remember if another band was called Death from Above or it had something to do with 9/11. There was something around 2001, I think, that they had to change their name, and they changed it to Death from Abroad. So, but apparently they were like a production. It was Tim Goldsworthy and James Murphy who were they both maybe the brainchilds of this band, and then Tim Goldsworthy kind of moved on and did another thing. I'm not sure about all that. Anyway, the label, they self-produced, and they had their own subsidiary with Capitol and EMI. They recorded it in North Brookfield and New York. I think those are both in New York. And then the lineup, it's a lineup. It's a lot of people, and I don't know who we give credit to. And when we do the band Brownlow, I don't know who we give credit to. But James Murphy is vocals, instruments, songwriting, and then Tim Goldsworthy is listed in the lineup credits, but as producer. And then there's just Eric Brusek, unclear what he does. Tyler Pope plays bass and guitars. Nancy Wang, who I think that Tyler Pope guy might still be with the band too. And I think Nancy Wang is still with the band. She does keys, keyboards, backing vocals. Patrick Mahoney does drums and backing vocals. And then there's another woman named Mandy Kuhn, and I don't know what she does.
Yeah, so on the CD it just says most sounds, James Murphy, other sounds, and then it lists the other people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can, I think the 3 votes probably going to be pretty easy on this album, but in terms of editing of the others too,
James.
Yeah. Interestingly, like James Murphy, clearly the driving force behind this band, wasn't exactly young when he released this debut album. He'd already been in a punk band in the 90s, and I believe he'd done a lot of production and stuff for other people and always been around the music scene, but and was DJing too, I think, and getting some notoriety as a DJ when he decided to do this.
Good on him.
Yeah, for sure.
Breaking the scene how old was he? He was over 30.
I don't know if he was over 30 or around 30. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get into the various categories, I've got the hard copy. Have you seen the cover art? You want to talk through that?
Well, you've got it. I don't know much about this one, and this isn't the one I was actually. I was reading a story about how they covered. I bet this is for the second album. I was reading a story about how they covered the equipment and studio in foil. But the next album's called Sound of Silver.
Well, the next one's got like a security camera or something on the front. I just ordered that one today. But this one's got a disco ball.
Yeah, okay.
Just a black and white image. So it's reflective. And yeah, I've got the CD. It's got that disco ball image on the front. Folds out, and I think most versions these days come with a second disc, this one included, which gathers up a lot of the singles and things they were doing before they put this full-length album, debut album out, including one called Losing My Edge, which I think they still play at gigs, very well-known song. But we'll focus on the first disc today, which is the full length, but perhaps we can have a little chat about disc 2 later on. All right, so we've got now 4 categories, and we're going to a little like ways to focus on songs. So we're going to start by talking about the opener, and then we'll move on to our favourite tracks and a few other categories after that. But just as we always do, what were your thoughts when you first put on the album and heard Daft Punk is Playing at My House?
So this song I had heard before. This was not the first time I'd heard this song. So I knew this one, but it was, and I guess my thought was, well, what's not to like? It's a funky little dance number. It's got cool bass riff. It's got funky guitars. There's clangy percussion, some hand claps. I think this is the song actually where I said that the lead, James Murphy's voice reminds me of Britt Daniels from Spoon. Just kind of similarities in the tenor. I did wonder if, not to be critical, if maybe it's not possible that the song is maybe a little too long. Maybe there is such a thing as too much of a good thing. There's kind of just some like interludes in the song where, but I suppose if you're out there on the dance floor dancing, then you won't keep dancing.
Keep it going. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't change much. I mean, it's just that sort of one bass line. I love the way it starts. The the little howl in the at the very start. And you mentioned the hand claps. I'm a sucker for a hand clap. We haven't heard hand claps since the Runaways. The Runaways had a few hand claps.
I think we get space lasers on this album.
Yeah, there's plenty of that. So, I mean, what stood out to me in shifting genre from Pallbearer and a lot of other sort of very dense, heavy music is just the simplicity of it. And, like, it's just that bass line that repeats the whole song. And it's just sort of reveling in that. And that's cool. Like, it's okay. You know, we don't have the 5-part intricate orchestral movements of Pallbearer or the, you know, there's no Mario on drums just tying himself in knots. It's just really simple. And lyrically, I mean, it's simple too. It's just a story of this really cool big party that this guy's having. So it's just fun. And, a long way from Pallbearer, put it that way. It's a real party song, this one, I thought. And I think they still played it pretty much every gig they play today. So to me, strong start and good fun. Great film clip too. We'll link to that in the show notes.
This has got to, I mean, this is their biggest hit, right? I think this was that massive like breakthrough hit for them.
Right. Certainly the breakthrough. I don't know. I think when we get to some of the later albums, there's some hits there as well. But
okay.
Yeah, certainly the biggest hit off this album at least. Yeah.
No.
But there's not much more to say. It's just fun and cool and good times.
Yeah.
Is it your favorite track on the album? Is it the killer for you, or is there another one?
Nope. There is another one.
What's killer?
Tribulations. It's the one. It's the one that keeps playing through my head after I've stopped listening. I don't know what it is. I like the synth sound. I like the melody, the rhythm. This is what you were asking me if I'd listened to this before. This song. It pulls me back to when I was living in London in '96, kind of just where that whole Train Spotting soundtrack and Ninja Tunes and everything was sort of making its and it's got space lasers. I am a sucker for the space laser. There's that little space laser breakdown in the middle of the song. That was it. That I think that alone shot it to the top for me.
Yeah. This is my killer too. Tribulations. So
is it really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because we didn't talk about the second track, obviously, Too Much Love. So it was a real up party song, the first one, and then there was a kind of down, introspective, reflective Too Much Love second, and this one somewhere in between, not quite as knock the doors off as the first one, but it's a dancier track. I do like the guitars in this one, and just the way the rise and fall. So he's really good at just building up a song piece by piece and just slowly introducing you to each new element, and then occasionally just bringing it back down again to almost nothing, and then rebuilding it. So that happens in this one. I like the way it's done. I don't know what he's talking about. Get your payments from the nation for your trials and tribulations. What is this? Social Security?
Maybe. He's older. He did say that. He started with that.
I don't know. But I don't think it matters.
I didn't mention the guitar, and you did. I love the sound, and I should have. I love the sound of that loose, twangy guitar.
Yeah, it sounds great.
It's
well
such
recorded.
a cool sound. Yeah, yeah.
And that's because it's so sparsely recorded compared to what we used to. I've noticed myself just picking out sounds a lot more easily and enjoying them. And sometimes just a little, like a cowbell or something, but just it is well recorded, and and when you get a nice little guitar-y track or something, you can certainly pick it out and enjoy it. So yeah, that was my killer 2. Wonder if you got the same grower. What's your grower?
Well, let's check this out. Mine's Disco Infiltrator.
No, it's not mine. Let's hear about why.
Disco Infiltrator. Let's see what I wrote here. The sample in the background. It sounds. This reminds me of something from like Beck's Dust Brothers years. I think which was also 1996.
Right.
Just kind of the samples and the way that it's put together, and I don't like. I looked this up because as I was listening to it, I thought for sure that the chorus, the backing was Andre 3000 from Outkast. Like it sounds so much like Andre 3000 from Outkast. And I don't think it is. I've looked them up, and there was a Gorillaz track that came out called Do Ya Thing that has LCD Soundsystem and Andre 3000, but there's nothing about this song. But anyway, this was one that just kind of, just under the definition of grower, the more I listened to this album, the more I enjoyed it. And this is one where the sound effects of it are just fun, but I have no idea what's making those sounds.
Right. Well, there's hand claps and cowbell.
Right.
But yeah, the bloopy stuff, no.
Right. I don't know where that's coming from, and I want to know. I do want to know.
Yeah. And then they finishes with "Bear in mind, we all fall behind from time to time," which is repeated over and over. Interesting that you chose that as your grower, because it hadn't grown on me. In fact, it was my closest I could find a filler, and again, we use this term
with love.
With love, yeah. So, and it's always the second last track where I'm slightly more heightened to that than the other. So it didn't grab me. I felt, I don't know. By this stage, I'd kind of got the formula, and this was another one that followed that. Build it up and tear it down. Shockingly sparse arrangement in the first verse. Just hardly any instruments playing. But I don't know. I just found myself kind of
ready to be done.
Yeah, I was a bit over it by that point. Did you have a filler or anything approaching it?
I did, but I'm curious to know what your grower is, because I'm wondering if
you haven't done my grower yet.
Yeah, I'm wondering if my filler's your grower.
Oh, well, let's see. Because my grower is Movement.
Oh, no. I like that song, too.
I like it. And I would love... he was in a punk band, so this is the electro punk. And I would love to hear this just done by a punk band with guitars and a crappy drum kit in a pub. Because it sounds like a punk song. It's got a really thrashy drum... a lot of snare in that drum beat, very thrashy, and then it rocks the hell out in the chorus, and where they're going nuts, and that's where you could see the punk bands sort of jumping around in that chorus. And it's got some more guitar, and I like the guitar in this. So whenever they use guitar with their instrumental electronic instruments, I really like it, and this is another example. It's very quick, 3 minutes, so classic punk, 3-minute punk song. And I love the fact that it's so almost from nowhere, and there's a lot of diversity on this 9 tracks and really many of them are quite different. There's a lot of different styles in just that 9 tracks, and this is basically a punk song. So, and it grew on me.
I think this one was close to being my notes are praising it. I described it as robot punk. I bet the song, like to your point, I bet the song is just awesome live. I love how it builds up and then just goes off, and it's like I don't even know what it's singing. It's singing about dads and fat guys in t-shirts. I can't.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's about. And then the distortion that just drives the song into chaos, and then it like dies down with this like fading metronome. It's a pretty awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna give you. That's a good song.
Yeah. Maybe it's too good to be a grow. It grabs you straight away.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I needed a killer part 2.
Have you got any filler or anything like it?
I do on repeat. It's
Right.
it's as advertised. It's,
Yeah.
it's 8 minutes of repeat.
Yeah.
Which? I mean, it's like the same beat. He does change the vocal styling a little bit, but the same tone. There's some banging on the guitar that does come in there that's kind of cool and breaks it all up. But the fact that it's 8 minutes, there is a part where I found myself thinking, I think he's having a go. like I think it's repetitive and it's supposed to be repetitive. I think that there's I think maybe laughs were being had. Well, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'm.
You think he's having a joke at the audience's expense?
I feel like it.
Right. It reminds me of there's a song by an Australian band, really good band called Regurgitator, and the song's called "I Like Repetitive Music,"
Mm-hmm.
and it's just I like repetitive music. I like repetitive music, and just so yes, that's I guess the same vein.
Just 3 to 4 minutes, I would have got the point. 8 minutes. All right, you're saying something.
Well,
You're making a
8 minutes really makes the point.
Right.
His vocals, that block nose style, sounds like he's got a cold.
Yeah.
On repeat, it's very emphasized here. I don't know what do you think of his singing style generally?
I like it. It's very I want to say like conversational.
Yes.
It feels like, yeah. I like it. There's no pretension to it. It's not. It just seems very natural. It's his obvious go-to vocal styling. I think you're talking in general, right? Not just
In
not
general,
this
yeah.
song.
In general,
Yeah.
I'm torn on it. I quite like it, and it suits the music well enough. I'm just wondering if it's perhaps a lack of confidence in his. I'm wondering if it's got something that's going to change.
Get stronger.
Yeah, I think often it's the vocalist we've noticed that is the one that develops most. Certainly, from opening album to last album. So we'll see. And yeah, sometimes I just found it a little too overdone, like a bit sort of affected. That on repeat that like just a bit too much. But I don't know. We'll see. All right, so there are 4 categories done. Have you got a standout moment?
I do, but real quick, your filler was Disco Infiltrator, right?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. No. I thought you'd said that.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, my standout moment is hold on. Track 5. Never as tired as when I'm waking up.
Right.
And the reason is that
the whole track?
Yeah, I did. I picked the whole track because it feels completely different from. And we talked about but this song feels completely different from anything else on the album. And it mixes like this 90s, 2000s Britpop, but also kind of has this like late 60s Beatlesque vibe, which feels oxymoronic because a lot of the late 90s, early 2000s Britpop was calling back to Beatles, but this feels like it actually sort of ties that bind or whatever that saying is. Yeah. I don't know. It was an interesting song. It wasn't a grower or killer, but I felt like I needed to talk about that song somewhere, so I put it at standout moment just because how starkly different it was.
Yeah, it is. The Beatles were certainly the first band that came to my mind when I heard the song. Now, I'm no Beatles expert. I spoke to the the Beatles guy at school and asked him to listen to the song and said, which Beatles song does this sound like? He said Dear Prudence, which I've also heard or read in a review comparing this song to Dear Prudence. I listened to Dear Prudence. I didn't think it was that similar.
Yeah.
But that's off the White Album.
Yeah.
It does sound like something, so maybe it sounds like someone who sounds like the Beatles. I don't know, but the first thing I thought of was the Beatles. Yeah, I thought the lyrics were interesting in this. They're explicit lyrics, and they're kind of pathetic and sad, and I think it's some sort of commentary on modern sexuality, disposable relationships, or something like that. But I think it's certainly interesting in that way, and perhaps we'll come back to that when we talk standout lyrics. My standout moment was just that chorus of movement. So I've spoken about that already.
Okay.
Love that bit every time. Love. Standout lyric, best or worst?
So the notable lyric for me is where he says, it's from Daft Punk is Playing in My House. And here's why. And I'm about to get, there's a personal story here. But it's the third verse where he says, well, everybody lined up in my house. Sarah's girlfriend is working the door.
Yep.
And the only this calls me back. So I used to live in this house back when I lived in Cedar Rapids when I graduated high school. And Prince was playing in Cedar Rapids. And I lived in this house with these other guys that I was in a band with. And our living room was just basically our jam room. All of our instruments were set up there. And so we would invite people over on the weekends and we would just jam, basically, right? Just faff around on our instruments and people would come in and out and play. Anyway, so we went down and tried to get, my roommate went down and tried to get Prince to come to our house to jam. And he started telling people that Prince was coming to our house to jam, and people showed up to see Prince at our house to jam. Prince did not come to our house. Our buddy made zero contact with Prince to even initiate that process.
I like the fact it sounds like he genuinely thought that was going to happen, so he wasn't lying to people.
He invited people. And then when I lived in Seattle for a while, and a buddy of mine, my roommate there, was working at a bar, and Cindy Crawford, Eddie Vedder, and Dennis Rodman all came in. They'd all been filming like this House of Style episode. And he tried to get them to come to our house and started yelling. I don't know, this whole thing of him trying to get Eddie Vedder to come to our house. So anyway, on 2 separate occasions, I've tried to get Daft Punk to play at my house unsuccessfully.
I like the idea of these guys rocking up to your house, Eddie Vedder and Prince, and you guys saying, all right, just sit over there and listen to his jam.
For the record, if that had happened, you would have known this story so long ago.
Pretty good, huh, Eddie? Don't hear you singing like that.
What do you think about that?
I like your friend's confidence. That's good. Man's got to know his limitations, perhaps, but I do admire his confidence. What category are you talking about? Standout lyric.
Standout lyrics.
Yeah, that's full of standout lyrics, that first song. It's such a good party. It sounds great. I like it when the furniture's put away, There's not going to be any spills. It's in the garage. My standout lyric, I don't know. Too Much Love, I really thought was maybe it could have gone a little bit later in the album. It was a bit of a downer after that first song, but this sort of, he's sort of thinking ahead to what's life going to be like when all this is over. And the lyric that I thought really worked there was with no memory to keep you up at night. So this sort of faded party animal. It's kind of a sad image with no memory. From the fun times. So that was my standout lyric. No story attached to that. Although my memory's not as good as it used to be.
With reference to that song, though, you had mentioned it like where it was in the lineup there. I agree. I felt that the song was. I wasn't ready for it. Yeah. I needed to be wound down to it. It was too much of a change. I I felt that song. I needed like we needed to progressively step down to get from Daft Punk to Too Much Love.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought so. Well, I mean, the last track we haven't spoken about, Great Release, is also very slow, kind of melancholic vibe to it.
Yeah.
And not a bad. I thought it was probably worth mentioning just because I thought it was a good track. The last track. It's called Great Release. I thought it wouldn't be out of place on Zooropa, the U2 album. That piano chords, stringy synths. I thought it was a nice finish to the album as well. Have you got a what were they thinking moment?
The only thing, and it's not a what were they thinking, it's just a question. And that's, where did the second album come from? Like, why all of a sudden, I think it was like a year later, a year after the album had been released, and I remember back in the days of CDs, bands all the time would have tracks that they didn't make the album, and they would release EPs with some of these like extra songs packaged on them. But this is like a full other album. And so I'm wondering, were they all just recorded at the same time? And the record company was like, you can't release 18 songs, nobody's heard of you. Or was it something that in that year span where they recorded, I was just curious as to where they came from, why they were held back, why they were released. I really like the first and last song on that second album. First song is Losing My Edge, which you said is still kind of a popular song that gets played.
Yeah.
And then the last song is Your City's a Sucker. I really like that one too.
I think they still play that too.
Okay.
But yeah, my understanding is these are all earlier tracks that they sort of gathered up.
Okay.
For the re-release. So I think these were written before this album, is my understanding anyway.
So it's just like a cleaning out the closet.
I think so, and I guess fans wanted to hear these songs live, and they wanted to, where can we get Losing My Edge on record? Is it recorded somewhere? And this was a way of giving the fans what they want, just like we do every month on Unshuffled. So yeah, my what were they thinking? I don't know. Have I got a what were they thinking? Have I? No, I don't think I've got one. Just a notable thing, just the very last second of Disco Infiltrator, the song's finished, and then you hear this like tiny little, it's like a mistake almost. That bear in mind bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, so the song's finished, and then you just hear bear, and then it's like, I think it's in, you wouldn't have left it in there. But it's just a strange. It's a fraction of a second, but it was just like, whoa! I wonder what he was thinking. So that's, I guess, that will be my what were they thinking moment.
Okay.
Did you notice that?
I don't know that I did actually.
All right, I'll have another listen. Maybe I recorded the CD badly or something. I don't know, but have a listen. Have a listen.
All right. Yeah.
Bam Brownlow, 3 votes.
All right, I picked 3 people.
Did you? Wow.
Totally arbitrarily.
Okay.
But I don't think totally arbitrarily actually. I think I can justify this. So I gave the 1 vote, sorry, to Nancy Wang. I don't know what she does on the album, but I think in my research, she's still there. She's still like a part of the band. She's still hanging out. In fact, whenever you see any photos of the band, I think that's her. I think she's always there behind the keyboards. Whenever you see like a photo of James Murphy, I think you see her behind him.
All right.
So she got my 1 vote.
Let's assume some of those electronic sounds are coming from her.
Just based on longevity. I gave number 2 to Tim Goldsworthy just because I think, as I understand it, this first album, at least, I think Tim Goldsworthy goes away after this one. But this first album, I think, was a lot of him and James Murphy together. And then the 3 votes, of course, went to James Murphy.
All right. So I'll give 3 to James Murphy. Other sounds. Oh, man, you've done well. I don't think I can award other votes. I'm sorry. Perhaps by the next album. I'm just going to give the 3, and controversially not have a 2 and a 1, just because I have no idea.
Fair.
But I'll look. Perhaps next album I'll have a bit more of an idea of who's doing what. But I don't feel I do at this point. So we've gotten through this pretty quickly, and I guess our lack of contextual knowledge, as I said, has contributed to that. But have you got any sort of closing thoughts on the like? Have we done the right thing? Have you enjoyed it? And are you looking forward to the next one?
Okay. It's
You're
funny that
hesitating.
you asked. I'm not trying to hesitate. It's funny that you asked, have we done the right thing? Because I was wondering there was a moment during at some point where I was listening to this, and I'm like, what's going through Matt's head right now? Is he how's he doing with this? Is he okay? Should I reach out to him? Should I call his wife? Should somebody check on him? Um, I yes, I'm glad we're doing this. I actually am, and I think that every time for almost nearly every band we've done that first album, I leave the conversation somewhat dubious, right?
Yeah.
And it's usually for me just in the context of what we're doing here. I don't really know how to talk about many of the bands that we've done the first album, so I don't feel that kind of far out of my element here. And it's usually that second it's the second and definitely by the third album where I start to figure out, okay, that's how this works. That's how these guys are working. This is what I can expect. I now have, it's the contextual knowledge you were talking about at the beginning.
Yeah.
So this first album establishes that contextual knowledge.
Yeah.
Now, like going into the second album, I know what I'm working with.
Right.
And this band is massive. Like this band is huge. People don't just like LCD Soundsystem. Anybody I have talked to and told them what we're doing, they get so excited that we're doing LCD Soundsystem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
They love.
they love this band. And so I'm pure. I'm here. I'm here to see. I'm here to see where that happens, where that takes off. And I think it's not just Daft Punk is playing in my house. I think it's going to go beyond that, and I'm curious to see where that happens.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. And I guess you don't have to know. I like your point about adding contextual knowledge by just listening to more albums by the same band. You know, so that's true. Um, I'm okay with the choice we've made. I did enjoy this, and I have lately been listening to a lot of non-metal. I made a terrible mistake in some ways of buying a really nice pair of headphones, and all of a sudden hearing music, well recorded and very clearly, and then that kind of changed, and then like a lot of the heavy guitar just didn't quite grab me as much as just a nicely recorded acoustic guitar or some strings or something. So that it's kind of, for better or worse, got me seeking different sounds anyway. And this, like, compared to what we listen to, and I've made the comment a couple of times, this is so different. The sound is so different. It's so sparse and so simple that it was a little shocking at first, but I'm okay with it. And it's fun. Like most of it is a lot of fun as well, which I'm kind of enjoying as well, because we've come from a pretty heavy doom band, and metal is often preoccupied with death and sort of other nasty things. So it's nice to just have a fun album to listen to. And it's very varied. So that was the other thing, as well as the simplicity, was the variation in styles. Perhaps that's my big question going into the next album. Apart from his singing voice, will that kind of develop a little and change? Or will they try and meld together their influences a little more, rather than just having very different songs? Are they going to try and sort of bring them together in some way and weave it together within a song? Which would be ideally what will happen.
That's where, and I honestly, I don't know. I'm completely just speculating here, but I read something that led me to think of something, and I'm just wondering if James Murphy doesn't just completely take control of the reins on the next albums in a way that I think this might have been a little bit more shared.
Right.
And so I wonder if that's going to change things.
Okay. But beyond that, I mean, yes, I enjoyed it. Some of it I felt like he was making a nod and a wink to people in the know, and I'm not one of them. So it felt like a little bit like,
What are you guys talking about?
yeah, like that sort
What's
of,
going on over
like
here?
that, yeah, like when you're trying to join in a conversation at a party and realize, hang on. So yeah, I felt a little bit of that with this album, but that didn't stop my enjoyment of it. I did enjoy it. It's fun. It sounds great, and yeah, I'm in for the ride, and I'm glad we've chosen something new. I think after this, and then we've got Tame Impala. Don't forget. I think I'll be looking to like something just skull crushingly heavy metal, just to sort of get back to my usual stuff. But yeah, I'm enjoying it, and I'm happy to go along for the ride, and very interested to see where he goes next.
The I to your point earlier about the headphones, and I hope that I'm not sort of ostracized from the metal community for saying this, but the thing about getting new those aren't the new headphones, right?
No, these are the crappy
No.
old. These are my crappy
Uh,
old ones.
the thing about getting like new headphones and when you're listening to kind of some of the music is some of those like the old classic metal albums sound pretty shit in new sound systems. And some of it's just kind of like tinny and thin, and it's just like, damn. And you've got like you want something full and big, and just some of those old classic metal albums, just sound wise, don't cut it.
Mm.
Is that it? Am I out? Are you getting a new host next week?
No, I think it's a good point. But then some bands, like some of the old bands, sound good too. Like AC/DC still sound good. Like just, but that, like I'm much more enjoying just a less distorted guitar than I used to. Like I used to want all my guitars to sound like entombed.
Ah, that's age.
But now I'm just like a good rock guitar, or even like an acoustic, as I mentioned. It's just, it doesn't have to be all distorted and crunched up now. So anyway, yeah, maybe it is age.
I don't know if it's age, but it's funny you say that because this is in listener. If you have any recommendations, I want just like a good new modern rock band, just like a rock band. I'm just curious. I just saw this best of 2023, and they had listed like the best new rock bands, and everybody sounded like who was that band that came out was sounding like Zeppelin?
Oh, Greta
Van Fleet.
Greta
And I
Van
feel
Fleet.
like, and so like when Greta Van Fleet came out, you heard like where they're trying to sound like Zeppelin, and all the bands on this list were trying to sound like Greta Van Fleet. I'm like, well, this is a weird rabbit hole we've gone down. And I was just, I don't know. I'm looking for like just a good, as you said, like just a rock, like a modern rock band.
Yeah.
Struggling.
All right. Yeah, send in your suggestions, listeners. And we'd love to hear from you. I did hear, we did get an email, because I hardly ever check them, but I'll start. Don't let that stop you, listeners. Send one in. I'll check it eventually. We did get another email from our regular emailer, Matthew Melvin.
Oh,
Matty. So yeah, he sent me some pictures of his Kaios collection and some cool posters and stuff. So yeah. So anyway, keep sending him in, Matty. It's always nice to hear from you. And Martin Popoff's got plenty of spam for us too. But if you want to send us something, including a suggestion for a good modern rock band, please do so. We'd love to hear from you. Our email is unshuffledpod@gmail.com. And if you want to catch the show notes, we've got a few things to link to here and there. So we'll pop the show notes up, a few days after you hear this podcast, or maybe it'll be there already. They're all at unshuffledpod.com, our fantastic, lovely website. So please have a look at that. And we're on Twitter as well, at unshuffledpod. So they're the three ways to check us out. So thanks, Scott. I did enjoy it. And I'm looking forward to the next one. Can't wait. And they're playing
Yep.
in Lisbon. They're coming here in August, so I'm going to get to see this band. At headlining a big festival here, and I went to the festival last year, so I'll be going again, and I'll have
I,
to stay till the end this time and listen to them.
I still haven't gotten over my envy that you saw Atomic Bitchwax.
Yeah,
I'm still processing that.
yeah. I just wish you had been there, Scotty. But anyway, I still think it will happen someday.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, so thank you, Small Stone and Seven Planets, for the use of the track you hear in the opening and closing sections. You'll hear it again in a moment. The track is called Vanguard off the album Explorer. Go to Small Stone's website and check out Seven Planets and all the other great Small Stone bands while you're there. They're an excellent label, and they've been good to us. Thanks, Scott. Enjoyed it. It was short and sweet, but enjoyed it all the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, listener.